Hey guys, my name's Yvette and welcome to my DIY channel, and I hope that you guys are having a great day. So for today's video, I wanted to share 10 tips and tricks for people who are just beginning to work with air dry clay. And by the way guys, this is my little dog Leo. He wanted to hang out for a little bit. I don't know how long he'll stay, but yeah, let's just get started. Okay guys, so Leo totally ditched us, but that's okay. Anyways, my first tip is about properly prepping your work area before you start working with air dry clay. So you're going to want to get something like this, a silicone mat, or something like this, which is parchment paper. This is a baking sheet. You could also use like wax paper, or I know some people use old sheets, but just something so that your clay project doesn't stick to your surface, because nothing's worse than like finishing a project and then you're trying to pick up your clay and it kind of, gets ruined a little bit because it's like stuck to the table. And my personal favorite is the silicone mat, because I can leave my project on there for a while and know that I don't have to worry about it getting stuck to my tabletop. Figuring out how thick or thin to roll out your clay, so that kind of all depends on the type of project that you're working on. So let's say you're making like a trinket dish or something. They do have rolling pins with like guides on the side that you could use to help you figure out how thick or thin you should roll out your clay, and it won't let you roll out your clay thinner than the guide or have it thicker than the guide, and that's a great option. You could also use something like this. These are dowels I got from Dollar Tree, and you just put them on the side of your clay, and then when you roll out your clay, it won't let you make them thinner than this. This is about a quarter of an inch thick, and I think this is a great size to roll out your clay for like trinket dishes. And once you get really comfortable working with air dry clay, you kind of won't need stuff like this. You'll just be able to eyeball it. But just keep in mind, the thinner that you roll out your clay, the more likely it is to break. But that doesn't mean you should have like every single one of your projects be super thick. Clay tools, do you need them? No, but do they help? Yes. So if you're a beginner, you don't need to rush out and go buy all these clay tools, because working with air dry clay might not be for you. So you should start out by using things that you already have in your house. For example, I bought this rolling pin to use for my air dry clay projects, but I almost never use it because I don't really like it that much to roll out my clay projects. What I use is this old wine bottle. I love this thing so much for rolling out my projects. And like, let's say you need to blend some stuff out, they definitely have clay sponges for that, and they also have like scraper tools you could use. But you could also use like old credit cards or like thick cards that you might have around the house. Your fingers will blend out the clay also beautifully just with a little bit of water. But once you really do want to advance more in clay, I would say tools are such a great asset. They really will help you do so much more with clay. And for me, my favorite tool is the needle tool. This thing looks so simple, but it does so much for me in all my projects. Okay guys, so tips 4 and 5 are going to go together, and it is to score and slip your clay. So this comes into play when you want to attach two pieces of clay together. You want to score your clay using a feather wire tool, and if you don't have one of those, you could also use like a needle tool or like a fork to add the little scratches like this. And then you want to add your slip, and what slip is watered down clay, and it will basically act as a glue for your clay. It should have like the consistency of thick paste, and that just kind of depends on your preference if you want it more watered down or not. And make sure that the slip you're using is the same type of clay that you're working with. And so you add the slip to your scored clay, and then you attach the two pieces together, and this will just make sure that everything kind of sticks together better. Do you really have to do this step every single time you attach two pieces of clay together? No, I'm really guilty of not doing it a lot, but it definitely does help for a reason. And so I would say do it more than not. Okay guys, so my sixth tip is to figure out which air dry clay works best for you by trying out different clays. For example, paper-based clays and earth-based clays are all air dry clays, but they definitely work and feel different. Some are lighter and more easy to mold, while others are more dense, but they like hold your shape a lot better. And don't feel like if you see people using a certain type of clay and then you use it and try it out and it's not working out for you, that you're doing something wrong or that it's your fault. It just might not be the right clay for you. For example, I always see people using Crayola air dry clay, and so I was like, I need to try it out. And I tried it out and it was awful. It was really easy to mold, but it was really sticky. It wouldn't hold my shape and it would crack. So what was working for other people wasn't working for me, which led me to like try out different clays and find some of my favorite clays that I know that I can always count on for my projects. And so like some of my favorite ones are Daz air dry clay, Jovi air dry clay, and Creative paper air dry clay. And I'm still always on the lookout trying out new clays to see if I find something better out there. So make sure to always just try out new clays. You might find something that you really like that you haven't been using. Sandpaper. So sandpaper has saved me a lot on my projects whenever I don't blend out my clay as well as I should, because sometimes I do get lazy. And so sandpaper really does come in handy. It will just make your projects look a lot smoother and like well put together. And I get these packs on Amazon. It comes with a bunch of different grit sizes. I'm not picky about which grit I use on my projects. I just make sure to use all of these up and then I order new packs. So get yourself some sandpaper. Regular paper. So paper is super important to me in my projects. I will usually like outline my projects on this piece of paper, or I'll print out pre-made outlines from Etsy and print them out and then cut them out and place the paper on top of my clay to use as a stencil. So instead of me trying to figure out how to like make the perfect heart or like a moon shape, I'll just sketch it on this and place it on top of my clay, and it'll just make sure that I get whatever figure I'm actually going for. My next tip is to seal your projects after you've painted them. And so my absolute favorite sealer is DecoArt's Triple Thick Gloss Glaze. I love this stuff so much. I feel like it really gives my projects a more professional look when I put this on, and I feel like my projects are actually protected when I put this on because it gives it like a nice coat of sealer. I have used Mod Podge before, but I don't really like it. I don't feel like my projects are super protected when I put that on. It just feels like a coat of glue and that's it. And I also do like DecoArt's matte varnish. You can reuse old dried up clay. This is just a moon I was going to use for one of my projects and I didn't, so now I have it here. This would also come into play if you were like working on a project and it had like a huge crack that you couldn't fix, so now you're stuck with dried clay. So I will show you what to do with it. Okay guys, so here's our dried up piece of clay, and mine has paint on mine, so I'm gonna have to sand that off. If you have paint on yours, make sure to sand yours off. Next, I'm gonna break this up into small pieces as best I can. You could do this with your hands, or maybe you can find like a little hammer or whatever. So I like to put it in a little cup, and then I'll add in my water and leave it in there for a couple of days to let it soak. Then I just take it out and I start to knead it, and it should go back to being your regular air dry clay before you used it. And you can totally use it up right now, or you can store it away for later. Look who's back, guys. But anyways, I was editing this video and I totally forgot to do an outro and then give you guys my bonus tip. And my bonus tip was just to like relax, have fun, and go for it. I get like a lot of comments from people saying that they really want to start working with clay, but they're scared to because they think that their projects are going to come out looking bad. And don't worry about that. If like your project comes out looking a little wonky, that's okay. It'll give it like a little bit more of a bohemian feel to it. And yeah, the more that you work with clay, the better that you're gonna get. So I would say to just put on some like good music. I like to light incense sticks. You could do that, or like light a candle. Give yourself a good atmosphere to work in, and then, you know, just have fun and do your projects. But yeah, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you want another video with more tips or tricks. And I have a bunch of air dry clay tutorials on my channel, so check some of those out if you want some inspiration. But yeah, guys, subscribe for more DIYs and stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!